I was watching television one day, and what inspired me to join the military, and I saw this tank. And I was like, wow, I'd like to be on one of those. And that's what inspired me to join the military. And then another reason is because I just didn't want to, after high school, just stay around home. I wanted to see the world. And joining the military would give me that opportunity to see the world and to serve this country, the greatest country on the planet Earth. And with adding all of those together, I joined the military. And after my first tour of about 2 years, I knew that this is what I wanted to make a career out of. And I ended up staying over 20 years in the military. I've been all over the world, had lived in Europe for 11 years. I went to pretty much every country in Europe: Rome, Paris, Amsterdam, Germany, Italy, Spain, Holland, all over. Great. And I love the military. I love being in the Army. I love being a soldier. Defending the flag of the United States of America, like I said, this being the greatest country on the planet Earth. If I had to do it over, if they called me and say, Mr. Jefferson, we need your service, I'm gone. In spite of some of the injuries that I accumulated while in the military with back, knees and stuff, I still know how to give a fire command in a tank. Well, my PTSD occurred, I was a young guy, just turned 22 years old. I was in Germany, and a soldier who was a Vietnam guy, he was a mentor of mine. He was killed by another soldier. All of us were in the same company. And I saw him shot in the chest with a .45. And that took me for a loop. First of all, I was 22, and I was in the military, but I was still young. Had not experienced anything like this. I know I was trained to be a soldier, to go to war, but to experience something like this at that close range and at that early in my career, it was devastating. They had a chaplain that would come in and talk to everybody and say, hey, what you guys experienced in your company today was a tragedy, but hey, we are here for you. That's as far as it went. It was no where you go to the hospital and no, that's as far as it went. And I carried this with me for over 20 years, waking up in the middle of the night, sweating, wondering why. What is this? Still thinking about the trauma that I experienced of a soldier being killed. It changed my life in a way that some of the things that I was comfortable doing in places that I was, people that I was comfortable being around, I find myself didn't want to be around people. I didn't trust no one. I was always on the defense. I had to keep my guards up because I never knew what was going to happen. I couldn't relate. I had a problem relating to civilians because they did not understand what it was like to be a soldier. That's what I felt. Whether it was right or wrong, but that's how I felt, and that's, I didn't like being in crowds. I had always, whenever I would go places, whether it be a restaurant or something, I always wanted my back to be against the wall so I knew of an avenue of escape if something was to go down. I did a lot of my shopping on the base. That's where I was comfortable at. That was the zone that I felt comfortable in. I didn't feel comfortable going into the Walmarts and the Bi-Los and the Piggly Wigglies and places like that. I would go in there and go and get what I had to get and get out. So it affected me in that way. I find myself sometime would snap. When I say snap, I mean like my tolerance level was not as long as it normally was. I was always mindful of where I was at, what I was doing, who am I talking with. I didn't have many friends. I had associates, not many friends, because I really didn't feel comfortable. Waking up in the middle of the night, sweating, living the trauma of my mentor being shot, killed. There was no treatment for it. And if there was a treatment, I did not know anything about it. And over the years, I'm staying in the military over 20 years, it never once that someone says, well, hey, we have a treatment that can help you, or we have something that we can give you that could help you to still be able to sleep at night. I'm not sitting here telling you that every night I woke up, but at least 2 to 3 nights out of the week, I would wake up in the middle of the night, sweating, crying, reliving what I experienced. Was it a good feeling? No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. But it just didn't affect me. It affected my family as well. There's a young lady, well, a lady, I was putting in a claim for a service-connected injury that I received, and she's a Christian, like myself, and we both attended the same church. And her name is Jan, and I was talking to her, and I just broke down and was telling her about the nightmares that I was having. And she was like, you know, you're suffering with PTSD. And she said, you need to see your doctor at the VA about that. And so I saw my doctor, and he referred me to his nurse. And they asked me some questions, about 4 or 5 questions. And they said I had all the signs and even more of PTSD. My doctor referred me to the mental health up on the 5th floor at the Ralph H. Johnson VA Medical Facility. I went up there and spoke with a couple of the social workers. And after talking with them, they informed me of a program that they had to help veterans with PTSD. I saw a doctor, I think his name was Dr. Wu at the VA hospital, and we talked, and I told him about the trauma, and he, you know, explained to me that the trauma what I experienced, it was PTSD, and that they cannot cure the PTSD, but he could prescribe me some meds that I will be able to sleep, but the trauma will always be there. I received the meds. I was referred also to see the social worker and the counselor, and I started talking to her. Her name was Stephanie Abbott. Told me about this program that the VA had. They would have the in vivo treatment, and which would entail me reliving the trauma that I was experiencing. And I looked at her and I said, you crazy. You want me to relive what I experienced, which causes me this trauma? You want me to relive that, and it's supposed to help me? And she was very honest, and she was like, yeah, it'll help you. And like I told her, you got college sense. You're book smart. It's not gonna help. She didn't force it. She said, well, you know, if you're willing to try it, you know, it works. The study have shown that it works. And I wanted some closure with this. So I was willing to go on and try the program. She didn't push me or force me in any way. She said the program has been out for a while, but the government had never adopted it. So I thank God that they have when they did, because there's a lot of soldiers out there that, even to this day, throughout the VA hospitals in the United States, they all don't have this program. They're getting there, they're not there yet, but I would like to encourage any one of my fellow veterans, if the program is offered to you, accept it, because it does work. I tried the program. After about 2 months, I began to see some improvement. I wasn't there yet, but I could see some improvement. It went on for another month and a half. I was able to control it versus it controlling me. I still have a couple of the dreams, but I'm not waking up sweating, and I'm able to go into the Walmarts now, the buy-lows, with some ease. I'm still leery of my surroundings, but it's not like it used to be. I'm getting my life back, and I thank the program that the VA had that I participate in. Dealing with the part of seeing his eyes open after he got shot, looking at me and I'm looking at him, and saying that maybe I could have prevented this. Because even though we were in the field, we were going to go out and have a couple of beers prior to us going out into the sticks to play war games. And he was like, "You ready?" And I was like, "Well, let me finish playing a couple hands of the spades." I was playing spades on his bunk. And so he said, "Take your time, we'll go, And maybe 5 or 10 minutes had went by, and then the individual came in, Bullock was his name, that shot my friend Rogers, came in with the pistol, and he started shooting. And so for what was inside of me, it was like, maybe I could have prevented this. And for years, I was like feeling guilty that, well, I didn't do enough to prevent this. And after going through the treatment, I came to realize it wasn't nothing that I could have done, because his mind was already made up that this is what he was intending to do. He was intended to come in and take Rogers' life, because they had a couple altercations. Rogers got the best of him 2 different times, and on the 3rd time when he came in with the pistol. So he came in with the intention to hurt Rogers. But for years, I thought I could have prevented that. And I carried this. And it was always, when I would wake up in the middle of the night, I would wake up looking at him, and he's looking at me lying on the floor with his eyes wide open. He had a smile on his face, beautiful white teeth. And I couldn't deal with that. It was hard. Looking at someone who's a mentor to you lying on the floor, dead, just looking at me. And it seemed like no matter where I moved to, his eyes were still on me. And that was one of the hard parts. It was very hard. The homework was, I explained to her some of the things that I was used to doing that I wasn't doing anymore, like being around a crowd. I was comfortable being around a crowd if I was on a military base, around soldiers. But being around, when I say you guys, you know what I mean, the civilians. I had a problem with, before I was okay with it, but after the trauma, I had a problem with that, because I knew you guys didn't understand me. You didn't have my 6. Like I said, when I said 6, I mean you didn't have my back. A soldier, I know he got my back, and I got his back. Whether we knew one another or not, he was a soldier, he understood. So she would give me homeworks like, well, this weekend, try to go to Walmart, the Bi-Lo's, the Piggly Wigglies, at least 3 or 4 times. And while you're in there to go get what you want to get, try to spend as much time as you can in there. I had a problem with that. I would go and get what I wanted to get and get out of there. But for my homework, she said, try to stay at least 15 minutes in there. And as the homework would increase, it would be then 30 minutes, whether you're just walking around. And then places like going out to eat dinner. Try to sit in a place when your back was not against the wall. Well, that didn't work for a while. I mean, it took over 2 months for me to deal with that. And eventually I was able to go into a restaurant or someplace where my back was not against the wall. Um, and I remember one time my daughter and I, we went out for my birthday, and she was like, "Daddy, you know," but she didn't say it to me until after we came out, because she know when I was going through the treatment, she would always call me, "Daddy, you okay? Daddy, you all right?" And it's like, "Yeah, Daddy's okay." And she told me once, she said, "I noticed when we was out, you didn't have your back to the wall." And I'm like, "So you were noticing?" And she's like, "Yeah." And like I said, she would always call me. And the social worker, she knew whenever my phone went up, she said, "That's your daughter, right?" She said, "Go in and answer it." You know, we would stop the session. She said, "Go in and answer it." And I would answer it, "Daddy, you okay?" She's 19 now, my daughter. I was like, "Yeah, Daddy's okay." "You sure, Daddy?" I said, "Yeah, Daddy's all right." So it just didn't affect me, it affected her as well. She was concerned about her daddy. And she know I have this thing when I see guys walking with their pants hanging down. I call them the drop pants. I have a problem with that, you know, your pants dropping down in the public. And if we're someplace, she would always cling to me, "Daddy, don't say nothing," because I would let it be known that, you know, why you want to walk around with your pants like that? You know, you think that's to make you a man or something? These are the things that the PTSD was inside me that normally before this, I mean, you know, you do what you want to do, but after I was exposed to that, it kind of took a side in me that I felt that you don't respect this country for you to walk around like that. All of these guys that call themselves gangs and wanted to, I wish I had you in my army. That's how something I developed. So even after I retired, I had a problem with that, you know. So she would always cling to me, "Daddy, don't say nothing, you know, leave them alone, don't say nothing." And I thank her for that. Would I have done something? Probably. But, and the homework part was also go out to a restaurant and don't ask for special seating or anything. And so every week I would have homework. And gradually it helped. And I was able to go into the Walmart and get what I needed to get, but I would linger around, walk around in the audio departments and just spend some time in there, wing in the past. Let me get in here and get out. Now, if I was on the base at the PX or the BX or the NEX, oh, no problem. That was my comfort zone. My comfort zone, being around soldiers. That's over 20-something years in the military. That's where I was comfortable at. I was not comfortable around you civilians. I wasn't. You didn't understand me. You didn't. Words cannot explain. Words cannot explain. Words cannot explain, because it just didn't help me. It helped her, and she knew that. Wow, I got my daddy back, because we've always been close. From the day she came out of her mom, when I cut the umbilical cord, we've always been close. And even as I was going through this, we were close, but sometimes I noticed I would snap at her, and when I was in my me time, you know, I would feel bad because it was something small that she might have done that, you know, why am I getting upset? But I would. And all along, I did not even know that she knew that Daddy was going through something. She knew that. And when she said to me what she said about, I noticed you didn't sit with your back to the wall, Wow. And one of the most joyful part about it, she did not say it to me while we were in the restaurant. She had took me out for my birthday. She waited until after we got out and then shared it with me, and that was like, wow. Wow. For any veteran, whether you're just coming from the Iraq War, Afghan War, the Gulf War, I can be an advocate for the VA hospital right now to tell you that they do have programs that's available now. And I would encourage them to seek the program because it helps. Now, whether it be a group study or an individual study. Now, when I first went there and talking to the counselor, they were trying to determine whether, for my case of PTSD, of trauma, would it be best for me to go into a group study or an individual one-on-one? And it was determined that it'd be best for me to do an individual. When I elected to say, hey, I don't have a problem with trying it, I said, hey, I'm open to whether it's a group or an individual. But after the counselors got together, and they said, well, we got together and we decided that for you, for the particular trauma that you've experienced, an individual session counseling would be better. So I was like, okay. But they have groups, they have individual, but try it. Try it. It works. I wasn't a believer at first because you want me to actually talk about the trauma that I experienced and you're telling me it's going to help me? I didn't believe that. I did not believe that. And then you got into doing the homework part, or after you record the session, you got to take it home and you got to listen to it, and and it's going to help you. Are you crazy? This is what caused me to be the way that I am. And now you're telling me it's just going to help me? But it did. It did. And there's a lot of veterans out there. Because the information is not being put out that there is help. And if anything I could say, I would say that the VA needs to put more emphasis on getting the information out that, hey, soldier, hey, veteran, we have some help here for you. It's available to you. We owe this to you to help you to deal with the trauma that you've experienced. The trauma will always be there. They cannot cure that. That will always be there. But we can get you to a point when you control the trauma versus the trauma controlling you. Okay? And then they need to open it up even to the family members, because it just don't affect that veteran. It affects his family members as well. Okay? So be if it costs the government a few more dollars, but look at the ultimate price that soldier paid. Okay? It's just don't affect him. It affects his family members as well. So open it up to them as well. But they need to get the information out to that veteran that, hey, we have a tool here and we're willing to help you. And it does not matter how long it takes for you to go through the program. If it takes you a year, 2 years, 3 years, because some people it may take that long. Others it probably won't. But we got this program here. The information needs to be put out. It needs to be put out. I don't know, but maybe when some of those soldiers came from Fort Bragg that took lives, if the program was in place to help them, maybe some of it probably wouldn't have happened. We don't know this. But now that you have a program, put it out, because the program do work. The program works. But if you don't know about it, yes, emphasis need to be placed on that, because if you're going to make that transition from military to civilian, there should be a transition point that you go through to expose you to the treatment that's available to you. And once they get out, recommend that you continue at the VA hospital, before you get out of the military. But there should be something while you're in the military, when you're going through that retirement physical or that ETS physical, to bring it to your attention that, hey, okay, you've experienced trauma, you've been diagnosed with PTSD. We understand that you're getting out of the military or you're retired from the military, but we're going to initially start it here, and we're going to recommend that you continue to seek help at the VA hospital. That's the purpose of it. So yeah, I would say that they should expose you to it while you're in the military, prior to you departing from the military. It will help. And I cannot put enough emphasis on it that they should open it up to that family member as well, because they suffer too. Because they have to suffer when they see their spouse going through something, It just don't affect him or her. It affects the family members as well. I would tell that veteran that for years, there was nothing, no treatment or anything available to help you with what you were going through. I've went through it. I've suffered from PTSD. Even to this day, as you and I are talking, I still have PTSD. I will always have PTSD. But I can control it now because of the treatment that I had. And maybe at some point in time, I may need to go and get a booster shot. And when I say booster shot, go back and have another session because everything start coming back and I can't control it anymore. I don't have a problem with that. But at this point right now, I received the treatment and it has helped me tremendously. And I would recommend to you, and even some of your followers, go to the VA hospital and seek that treatment because it's available. Whether it be on an individual basis with you and your counselor, or whether it be in a group, there are treatment available now. I just wish that they had it years ago. But we can't cry over spilled milk. We're talking about now. It's just like now faith. Not a tomorrow faith, but now faith. It's available. And I will encourage you to seek this treatment. And I just wish that the VA would get this information out to all the veterans that are now and all the veterans that is to come. We have a program available for you. It's there. You don't have to go through this by yourself. You've went through it long enough. And I would encourage the VA to talk to Congress, where they get their funds from, to say, hey, we need not only just open this program to the veterans, but we need to open this program to their family as well. That's very important. That's very important, speaking to you as a soldier. It's very important for that soldier's family members, because they suffer, they go through it just like he did or she did. Open it up to the whole family, that they all can receive the treatment. That's a price. He or she paid a price. You don't think they deserve it? They do. They do. So I would encourage every veteran to go to your VA hospital. If they don't have it, find the nearest VA hospital that have that program and attend it. They're in the process of getting this worldwide in the United States through all the VA hospitals. I think that's very smart and very wise, because soldiers are coming back continuously from Iraq, Afghanistan, and all of them might have not experienced the trauma, but a great deal of them have. And they need to know that, hey, there is something in place for you. There is help for you. And your family as well. But you got to seek. The Bible says, seek and you shall find. The VA need to accept that motto. Seek, veterans, and you shall find. We have a program available for you. So I would encourage every veteran, if you suffer with PTSD, at least here in the Charleston area, I can speak for this Ralph H. Johnson because I've went through the program. There is a program there. There is a program there. And it's available. I met a young man in the mall, veteran. He transitioned from North Carolina. He was moving down here to help his sister. And I told him about the program. He did not know about it. I told him about it. We talked for about 2 hours in the Northwood Mall. I even went as far as to give him the name of the social worker that I had. I don't know if he will get her, but there are some that are good, just as good as the one that I had. The program is there. And all veterans need to know about it. Like I say, I don't know if it's throughout the United States, but they're getting there. But it's at the Ralph H. Johnson, and it'll help you and your family. It'll help you. Don't be too proud. I did not believe that it would work, but it did. And like I said, I'm still a work in progress. But I have closure now. I can control it versus it can control me. I don't have a problem with going out into the public. I still feel more comfortable dealing with soldiers than I do with civilians, but it's not as bad as it used to be. And I owe it all first to God and to the program that they have at the VA hospital. Because I could not have done it if it hadn't been for God. And I thank the VA that they have a program in place. And they just need to put the information out that, hey, we got a tool that can help you, but you got to want it. And I think all veterans want closure. It's not easy waking up. It's not. And people, even your family, looking at you like, what's going on? What happened when he was overseas? What happened? They don't understand. But there's a program at the VA hospital now that can help you to bring closure. Just seek it. It's worth it. It's worth it to get back and doing the things that you used to do.